Yo, Venom Squad, today we're doing the Cobras. Yo, Venom Squad, if you're new to the channel, please hit the logo and subscribe. Hit the bell notification so you don't miss the opportunity to see any of my videos. Today, we're going to do something that I've had a few people asking for. We're going to give you some Cobra content. Now mind you, I'm not going to pull out a big monster Cobra, but we've got a really cool Cobra to show you, and I want to teach you about the Monocled Cobra. Now the Monocled Cobra is widespread through South Asia, and it's a very popular snake in the venomous hobby. And it's a very underestimated snake. I mean, a lot of people don't realize just how dangerous a Monocled Cobra is and how many deaths are recorded by the Monocled Cobra in Asia alone. We're talking 30 to 40,000 a year that are reported, but there are many more that go unreported. So we're going to hit on some Cobra facts today, and we're going to hit on captive care, we're going to hit on breeding, we're going to hit on venom. That's going to be a big one. There's a lot of stuff about Monocled Cobra venom, Nigel, Cuccia, that I think you guys should know, especially if you're keeping monocles, and just how freaking dangerous they can be. But we're going to get with it and get this ball rolling. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. It's going to be fun. Okay, the Monocled Cobra. Very venomous, very dangerous animal. Now, it belongs to a family of snakes that we call lapids. And they're protoglyphs, which means they have small fangs that are fixed in the front of their head. And there's three different kind of snake fangs that fall into different categories. You know, you got your solonoglyphs, which are your retractable fangs, which are your big pit vipers, you know, the bushmasters and the fer-de-lance and rattlesnakes and stuff. But also you've got your opistoglyphs, which are your rear fang snakes. But cobras are front fangs and fixed. And the monocle he's an icon when it comes to cobras. I mean, when you think of Cobra, you see a Monocled Cobra with the big monocle on the back of its hood. And it's actually called monocle because it resembles a monocle, like a one single monocle. Then we have the spectacled cobras, which have two circles on the back of their hoods, and it looks like a pair of spectacles. That's why they call them spectacled cobras. But nonetheless, they're still all Naja species. Now, I'm going to show you guys a beautiful little Monocled Cobra today. Okay, now I don't keep a lot of Monocled Cobras. I've had my stint with Monocled Cobras. I've actually probably produced more Monocled Cobras than anybody in the country. When I was breeding monocles, I was producing 200 to 300 of them a year, and I produced all the morphs. I was actually the second guy to ever produce the Blizzard Monocled Cobra, the snow white with red eyes. Mitch from Diamond Reptiles first produced that morph and started it, and I kind of hit the lottery. I got a pair of hets from Mitch and raised them up and bred them, and I produced all the morphs in one clutch. So of course I kept them all and raised them up for the next 4 or 5 years, and I started producing them like wildfire. The blue-eyed Leucistics, which that's what we're going to show you today. I actually just picked up a little Leucistic Cobra. It's kind of ironic. I've stated that I'm never keeping Cobras again after having 200 of them and cleaning and feeding. They are non-stop perpetual motion. They eat, they shit, and they move, and that's all they do. So they're a lot of work. I'm going to show you guys a neat little Cobra, and now this one, it's just a juvenile. It's, you know, he's probably that big, but it's a beautiful, beautiful little Leucistic Monocled Cobra. He's snow white with blue eyes, but he happens to be in shed right now. So he's real skittish, and I'm not going to tabletop him and chase his little ass around a table and play them games. We're just going to, I've got him in the rack. We're going to pull the drawer open and film him right inside his tub. Actually, I'm going to move him over into a tub with a little bit of mulch so he sticks out and y'all can see him. And we're going to talk about cobras. I'm going to talk about captive care and feeding and just everything to hit on cobras, on Monocled Cobras to be exact. But then we're going to get into some venom stuff. And the venom stuff's important. I want y'all to know this kind of stuff. But anyways, I'm going to grab this guy and I'm going to put him in a tub, and we're going to set up the cameras around his tub, and hopefully he displays for you and he hoods up nice, and you can guys get a good look at a spunky little Monocle Cobra. Okay, we're going to grab this little Nigel Cuccia. I'm going to put him in another tub. Actually put a little substrate in here so he pops out so the cameras can pick him up, because him on newspaper, you're not going to see him that good because he's white. But he's in shed, so he's a little bit dolled up, but we're going to put his little butt in here. Instead of me chasing him around a table, like I said, he's only, okay, he's only a little guy. Oh, come on, Pee-wee, get in there. He's only about 16 inches. Here he comes. He's like, come get some. Come get some, huh? Okay, we're going to start on captive care. Monocle Cobras are pretty easy to take care of. They're actually a really prolific snake. They breed every year. They're so easy to breed, it's not even funny. And let me tell you, keeping them is a simple task. We're going to start with housing monocles, and let me tell you, starting out with babies, with hatchlings, I do them in, I start them in a tub, just a regular shoebox tub, and I stage them up as they're growing. Like this little guy, he's in the next size tub because he's at that stage in his life. But monocles can get fairly large. I mean, an adult monocle can be 4.5 to 5 foot, nice girth on them. And I've had some that were 6 foot. I mean, it's not that rare to see a 6 foot monocle anymore, especially in captivity. But keeping them is pretty simple. I mean, hot end, cool end. It's kind of the way we do a lot of the rattlesnakes and a lot of the other stuff. And hide boxes on each side. And let me tell you, I opt, when I was keeping and breeding monocles, for, the racks are fine, but I always opted for front opening cages, just so I can stand back and open them with a hook and drop them down so I'm not too close to the cage, just for safety. But let me tell you, they cruise a lot, so they need space. Now, an adult monocle, I would keep my adults in 4 foot visions, or I had custom made racks that all dropped down front opening cages that were 4 to 5 feet long and 18, 20 inches high. And for enrichment, I'd put a lot of stuff in there for them to climb on, because they're perpetual motion. They're always climbing and prodding. And the one thing I can tell you about monocles is snake-proof caging. You got to make sure that your game is tight keeping cobras, because they are escape artists. They're constantly prodding and checking things, and they're actually smart. They check everything to look for a way into another realm. They're just sneaky bastards. But pretty simple to house. But temperatures now, I would use heat tape on one side and low watt light bulbs to achieve the temperatures that I want on the warm end. And the cool end, just as my normal room temperature, but 78 to 80 on the cool end, and on the hot end, over on the warm end, it can get up to 85, 86, 87 degrees. But at nighttime, I would naturally let them just temperatures drop at night. They get cooler at night, warm back in the day. Just trying to simulate nature. So, pretty simple to house. Substrate, newspaper. I like newspaper, but I would use hardwood mulch. When you end up with 200 snakes, and I had like 40 adults, I mean, I got to where I had to use mulch on a lot of things, so I can run through every day and spot clean instead of removing a snake and all the furnishings and going through all that. But aspen works fine, hardwood mulch, and newspaper. They're all just fine. Humidity. Humidity is important with monocles, and I always keep a large water bowl in with Monocle Cobras. They love water. I mean, I think they probably spend a lot of time in the water in the wild. I mean, living in rice paddies and things like that. I mean, who knows? But I'll tell you, they'll utilize a big water bowl. They'll get in that water bowl and soak. They'll defecate in it. While they're in shed, they'll get in there and soak. I mean, they're they'll use a big water bowl. So use a big water bowl that they can actually get in and soak if need be. But my thing with them was I kept them always at a higher humidity. I mean, warmer temperatures, higher humidity. Cobras, hot and steamy. That they just love it hot and steamy. So I would keep them anywhere from 65 to 75% humidity, and I would miss their cage like maybe twice a week to give them a good jack in humidity. But they're pretty simple to keep, and they're even easier to breed. I mean, you don't got to be a rocket scientist to breed Monocle Cobras. They're really simple to breed, and I'm going to tell you all how to do it. And actually, you guys, we'll put a link to my article. I wrote an article about Monocle Cobras when I was breeding them, and it runs it down to you step by step exactly what to do. It's really easy. Monocles are probably easier to breed than corn snakes. So, but if you're keeping monocles, you got to stay on your guard. Let me tell you, I've had Monocle Cobras that some of them were dog tame. I swear to God, you could pick them up with your hands and probably put them around your neck. And I've had other ones that were freaking treacherous. They were just evil, and they literally would bite you just to bite you. They all have little different personalities, so you got to stay on your guard with them. I mean, I see guys in some of these other videos, they're free handling them and stuff, and it's like they can just turn on a dime on you like that. Their whole demeanor can go from 0 to 60 immediately. So it's a dangerous damn snake. It's very underestimated as an elapid because they're so widespread and people see so many of them. I think the damn public is looking at them like, well, everybody's got them and it's kind of cool. But let me tell you, it's a freaking snake that can drop you dead. There's no two ways about it. And if you don't have your own anti-venom, then you're on the clock and you're losing time for them to find it. And a lot of people die from monocle cobra bites. There's been several deaths not too long ago from monocle bites. But anyways, that's how I care for them. That's always the way I kept them. Real simple, real easy. Give them some enrichment, a lot of space. They like to move. Big water bowl, and that's it. Light cycle, very simple to keep. Feeding monocles, I start them as babies. I start them with pink mice, like every other snake. We just start them on pinkies and fuzzies, and baby monocles will eat pinkies and fuzzies like almost as soon as they hatch. And let me tell you, they're ferocious feeders, and they'll eat non-stop. I mean, they are eating machines, and they grow rapidly. And I jump them up as they're growing. Pinkies to fuzzies to hoppers, you know, and it goes pretty quickly. Let me tell you, monocles can reach maturity. I like to breed them at about 4 to 5 years old. And they can turn into a 4-foot snake in 2 years, but they're not sexually mature yet. So I believe in giving them a little bit of time. You want them to at least have that 4-year mark. For females especially, sexual maturity is important for females. The males may breed even younger, but the females need that 4 to 5 year mark, and then they start producing nice big healthy clutches. But I'm going to tell you, breeding them is pretty simple. We're going to get into that too. I'm going to tell you just how to breed them. They're really simple. But I would feed my adult monocles every other week. I mean, bi-weekly. And they don't do good eating a big meal. They just don't do good doing a large meal. They don't have the swallowing capability that other snakes do. I mean, they can't choke down a big monster rat like a python can. I mean, a 6-foot python can eat a damn rabbit, and a 6-foot monocle is only going to eat a medium rat. But I always like to feed them multiples. I'd give them 2 medium rats. Now, this is for an adult, a 4.5 to 5 foot adult. 2 medium rats bi-weekly, and that sustains them perfectly. They'd have good body weight. They'd be thick, healthy, robust snakes. Babies, I feed them. I feed them nonstop. Every 4 or 5 days. I mean, just keep throwing the groceries to them, and they'll grow. And don't be scared that you're going to overfeed them and you're going to get that pinhead syndrome. That, okay, the snake's body's so big and its head's so small because I've overfed it. That don't happen with monocles. Damn monocles grow quickly. So I feed them every 4 or 5 days, and I keep pushing the groceries to them. Let them get big. But maturity, 4 to 5 years. So keep that in mind if you're planning on breeding monocles. So I'm going to tell you a quick little interesting tidbit on baby monocles. When I first started hatching out baby monocles, I'd always get a couple that were a problem feeder. I mean, they wouldn't eat a dead mouse. They wouldn't eat a live mouse. They wouldn't eat, I mean, pinkies, split heads. I've tried everything. Chicken soup, dipping them, and you name it, I've tried everything. And one morning I just happened to be going fishing, and I had a bucket of minnows, freshwater minnows, we call them shiners up north, and something just clicked. I said, well, you know, these damn things, let me just throw a couple of these shiners in there and see if these babies eat them. And I took a couple of shiners, and they were about the appropriate size, and just scooped them out with my little net and just dropped some right into the, actually it was in one of these little tubs. And they were flopping around in there, and let me tell you, they tore them up. Fish. They will eat fish every time. Little minnows. And it clicked. I was like, yeah, they're damn near living in rice paddies. They're probably eating amphibians. They're eating small bait fish, whatever they can capture. They're very opportunistic feeders. Monocles that eat anything. I'll tell you, I had one that ate another one. I mean, I was just like blown away. And it was literally because I had like 65 something babies hatched out of 2 different clutches, and I had them doubled up, just going through them, and a baby monocle ate another one. It just choked them down and killed them and ate them. And I looked in there, I said, there was 2 snakes in here, now there's 1 fat one. So be careful, because they'll eat each other. They're damn ophidious, almost like a king cobra. But let me tell you, feeding them, throw the groceries to them. I'm going to recap on this. When they get bigger, back it down. Multiple meals instead of big meals, and they tend to do better. Okay, breeding monocles. Breeding monocles it's pretty simple. If you can't breed monocles, you shouldn't be breeding snakes. I'm going to tell you, they require a cool down, just like most other snakes do. But literally, I would do it now. This is depending on where you live, geographically where you're at, what the weather does. It can be different months of the year. It doesn't have to be a certain month. Now, I started my monocle breeding. I was still living in Ohio, and up there it started getting cold in October. So that's when I would start brumating them. Literally, I'd put my adults in a smaller container with some sphagnum moss and stuff, and just lightly mist it and lit them up, and I would just take them down to about 60, 65 degrees, and it would vary depending on the temperature. For a month. That's it. 1 month. Bring them out, start feeding the damn female. I would start pumping the groceries to her. And the males normally would eat right out of brumation, but a lot of times they wouldn't. So it depends on the male. But don't be spooked if he's off feed, if he doesn't want to eat. It's not a big deal. They've only been down for a month. They didn't lose a lot of body weight, but I feed the females heavy during this time. But let me tell you, I would give them a few weeks of feeding and try to push them into a shed. Try to push that female into that pre-shed. And it's important more for the female than the male, I think. But after I get a shed off the female, I'd start pairing them up. And literally after that post-hibernation shed, the males would be on them females like white on rice. Let me tell you, they would chase them down. There would be activity, and you can visually see it because they're aggressive breeders. And what they would do is, males sometimes would bite the females. I've had females with chew marks on the back of their necks and on their backs and stuff. They kind of breed like king snakes do. They'll chew each other up a little bit. Monocles are ferocious, but some would, some wouldn't. So it's not a stable. You know, yours may not do it, and mine may do it. But that shed is important. So anyways, 1 month, cooler temperatures, 60, 65 degrees. Let the female shed, put them together, and I would leave them together for several weeks. And what would happen is, a lot of times, copulation wouldn't take place 2 to 3 weeks. Sometimes it happened right away. But mostly, after copulation, and I had visually seen it, or I thought that it happened, I would still leave them together. until I'd see that female start blowing up, and I can tell she's heavy with eggs. Then I'd pull the male, insert a nest box. Nest box is important because if that female don't have a suitable place to lay them eggs, she'll lay them in the damn water bowl. And I did that just not knowing. I didn't think in a million years she'd lay them in a water bowl. And that's how I taught myself, you better get a nest box in there beforehand. Get her accustomed to using it as her hide box. Now a nest box, I would just use another tub with a lid on it, cut a hole in it where she can exit and enter. I'd fill it up with vermiculite. And not soaking wet vermiculite, just damp, just moist, good humidity, and I'd keep that on the warm end of the cage. So she had a nice, warm, humid spot to lay her eggs. And I always, when I got gravid females, I would cut that water bowl down. Remember how I said to use a big water bowl? I put a little water bowl in there that she couldn't get into, just to cut that factor out that she ain't gonna lay them in a water bowl on me ever again. But they're just so simple to breed. That's it. Cool them for a month. It's really simple. I mean, they're easier to breed than damn corn snakes. So, but the problem is literally when you start breeding monocles and you figure out just how easy it is, you end up with 200 of them. So that's it, guys. It's really simple. It's not rocket science. And keep them together, let nature take its course. It's a really simple animal to breed. And the babies start easy. And if you can't get them started, they start well on minnows. So, and minnows are cheap. Cheaper than pinkies anyways. And hatching monocles out is not that hard either. I'd hatch them out in vermiculite. I actually would just use the same damn box that I use as a nest box for her. I just covered that hole up, put a new lid on it, and put the whole damn box right in the incubator. Never even had to touch the eggs. I mean, you can pick the eggs up as long as you don't turn them. They're kind of just like any other snake egg. But I would hatch them out anywhere from 82 to 86 degrees. And I would get an even amount of males and females. It seemed like if I went to that 86 degree mark, they would hatch quicker. And I've had them hatch out as soon as 45 days. But it would go anywhere from 45 to 55 days. And I've had them go as long as 60 days. So you got that 15-day flex period there, but that's just dependent on temperature. But anywhere from 82 to 86 degrees, and they'll hatch fine. And now, when they're hatching out, you'll notice that literally, if anybody's breeding them, I mean, I've seen this 100 times, it can take a damn near 3-4 days for the whole clutch to hatch. And they'll always start from the top eggs and work their way down. But what I always did, and what I learned, and what I taught myself is, instead of waiting on them to all hatch out and do it naturally, as soon as I had 2 or 3 heads pip, I would cut every damn egg. I'd go in and make like an inch slit with my little egg scissors on every egg. Because I've had baby monocles, because they lay a clutch of eggs. Let me close him up real quick. They'll lay a clutch of eggs, and they're stuck together like damn super glue. And that's, you got a good clutch when that happens. When they're all stuck together, they adhere together really nice. And you might get a few stragglers, and they're still good eggs, but they're a nice big mound of eggs. So what I found is that some of them eggs that are down in the middle of that mound, they can't get out because they're covered by another egg on all 3 sides. So I would start peeling eggs back and just make little 1-inch slits so everybody got a chance to get out. And I was getting 100% hatch rates that way. And I do that with a lot of snakes, even the Bushmasters. As soon as I get a pip, I start cutting eggs. But just little tricks, guys, that can help you improve your productivity in hatching stuff out. But it's still a delicate procedure cutting eggs, so you got to teach yourself to do it. I'd pinch the top of it with a tweezer and just put a little snip, slide them scissor end in that egg and lift it and just make a little slit. Just enough where you can get out. But that's how I would do it. If you want to let them run natural, that's good too. But I was doing it to produce as many as I can. But anyways, real simple, guys. 82 to 86 degrees, anywhere from 45 to 60 days, and you got it. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about the venom of Nigel. And, we all know it's a neurotoxic venom, and it causes paralysis and hits your central nervous system and does all that. But I'm gonna tell you, there's a lot of other components in that venom. It's got the neurotoxin, it's got a cardiotoxin, it's got a necrotoxin, and let me tell you, if you think that a monocle cobra bite is not that serious, you're wrong. There's actually a couple different species of cobra, of naja, true naja, that have a peptide, a certain peptide that's attached to the neurotoxin component in that venom, and they're calling it cobra toxin. And I just read some neat stuff about this too, and what attracted me to this article, because I was looking up some stuff, because my brother suffers from MS, and they're doing some studies right now on that cobra toxin attaching itself to MS. Venom fascinates me, and that's a big reason why I do a lot of this, and I research a lot of stuff, but this RPI/78M, it's literally the peptide that's found in the Naja Cuccia venom. They're extracting that peptide, and now what's neat is this company, Recepto Farm, I think it was, but they were just granted, and I think it was 2015, now I'm doing this off of memory, guys, they were just granted an orphan drug designation for human clinical trials by the FDA, which that's a big deal, and to treat neuromuscular diseases, like MS, and this article drew me to it because of my brother. He suffers from MS, and I thought this was really interesting. Actually completed their first phase of this trial, and they have not published the findings yet, but it's been well tolerated. They're saying that it's showing really good numbers, and phase 2 is getting ready to begin. It's really interesting stuff, and we'll put a link to this article so you can read it for yourself. It's pretty slick what they're doing, and who knows, someday this may become an actual legal drug that is administered to people with MS. They got their go-ahead to try human trials on it. So pretty cool stuff, man. You can't deny it. It's fascinating as hell. But to flip the script, now getting bit by a monocle is serious business. I mean, with all the different components in that venom, I mean, you're definitely going to experience paralysis. You're going to have respiratory failure, and an interesting thing is too, and there's necrosis. I mean, at the bite site. I mean, and if it's not treated quickly enough, it becomes gangrenous. So a bite from a monocle is bad, and let me tell you, I've read a lot of different studies, but I personally know 3 people that have been bitten by monocles. I was actually present during one bite, and the other 2, I mean, everybody survived, and there is a 4th person that didn't survive, and I'm not going to mention their names just out of respect for the family and him. But let me tell you something. I was present during one bite, and it was a baby monocle. It was a baby much smaller than this one. And let me tell you, it was on the index finger, one little nip on the index finger, and within 20 minutes, this person was experiencing paralysis. He was having problems breathing. And he looked at me, he said, Willie, he goes, I can see you, but I feel like I'm looking through pinholes at you. His eyesight was getting affected. And of course, all the systemic things that were happening to him, he was literally complaining about the metal taste in his mouth. And I watched his muscles were vibrating. I mean, he was life-flighted. I mean, and it was a good thing that they had anti-venom, available right then and there, because he was on his way out. I mean, it was scary shit. I mean, I watched this guy, he was trembling. His muscles were jumping. I mean, and then he was complaining about drowsiness. He's like, he goes, I feel like I'm falling asleep. I can't keep myself awake. I mean, this was 20 minutes in. 20 minutes in, that quick from a baby monocle. And thank God he had anti-venom available right then and there, and it was administered within 40 minutes of the bite. So, and he made a quick recovery. But let me tell you, it was scary seeing someone bit by a monocle, especially just a little squirt. And I watched what he went through. And I remember that like it was yesterday. He was telling me, he goes, Willie, I see you, but I think, he goes, man, it's almost like I'm looking through pinholes. He goes, everything is just dilated. And that's how it affected him. I mean, it was crazy. But problems breathing, everything you would think with a cobra bite. But his finger turned black and necrotic, like for months. It was like a hole in it. And it eventually healed over. Just an index finger. But it was unbelievable, just from one little bitty baby monocle. So, safe handling, guys. Monocle cobras, they ain't no joke. We'll get into a safe handling video when I pull out some bigger cobras, because I've got a few other cobra species, but they're a little bit large, and we'll do some videos with them coming up. Hey, Venom Squad, hope you learned a little something from this, and basic Monocle Cobra 101, but check out the links to these articles. You should read them. It's interesting stuff, but I'm going to tell you, be safe with them damn Monocle Cobras. Like, that little guy, he was revved up. You can see him, he's just like, come get some. But anyways, don't forget to subscribe. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, give us the thumbs up, and come back to Venom Central. This is Willie checking out. Later.